What's up YouTube, Dell here from Zephyr, and today I'm bringing you a test tank combo video for the Fire King Dogmatika profile that I showed you all the other day. Now the one massive difference between the Dogmatika version and of course the Tri-Brigade version, as they are the two best to be compared on a budget scale, is the fact that the Fire Kings can lead you to the Tri-Brigades and vice versa. However, with the Dogmatika build, the Dogmatikas can lead you to the Fire Kings, but technically the Fire Kings cannot lead you to the Dogmatikas directly. However, what you do get the benefit of by playing the Dogmatika version is you have so much more free space in the deck, meaning you can use a lot more hand traps or board breakers to give you a better competitive balance. So, with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more upcoming content. After a very decent shuffle and a good old cut, our starting hand of 5 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so as you can see, technically with this hand, the only main important card is Nadir Servant. And the reason for that is for the pure fact that Nadir Servant is going to give you the ability to run all of your entire combos. Bar that, you would literally just be sitting on the Ash Blossoms. Now, of course, Nadir Servant and the root of Nadir Servant is less resilient to hand traps because this can get stopped by Ash. Your Maximus can get stopped by an Imperm and a Veiler. So you've got so many different ways that that can get stopped. However, if you were to flip this and say, okay, well, naturally these three cards would be played in the Fire King Tri-Brigade version anyway, but these wouldn't, and these were these were Tri-Brigade cards, you could then get the exact same outcome. So let's say this was Nerval, ditch, gone. But then you can go, okay, cool, normal summon kit, banish 1, summon out the Scareclaw Link 1, Link 2, and then build your way up. Again, each stage can then get stopped by an Ash and an Imperm and everything else. The difference between the two builds is that naturally, with the Dogmatika one, you'll have more hand traps to fall back on. Unfortunately, in this example, we did open up both Ash Blossoms, but that is just the way of it. We also opened up our one-of in Schism, which is also more beneficial to be in the deck. So what we're going to do with these test stands, we'll do a couple going first, couple going second, and I just want to go in as much depth as detail to kind of explain the particular type of plays you're going to take and then why you would take them. So we'll start from the Nadir Servant. Like I said, these 4 cards are pretty much irrelevant right now, and we're just going to build from there. So we're going to activate the Nadir Servant. Of course, you're going to send the Garura Wings of Resonance Life. It's the only one you would send, and this is then going to allow you to search out your Dogmatika Maximus. So straight away, you've got your combo going. Yes, of course, if your opponent does draw you, that will suck as well, but this deck is, there's a reason this deck isn't tier 0 and absolutely dominating, is it does have weaknesses to the hand traps in the meta, and that's why you need to play as many hand traps or just as many different engines as possible that can be as resilient. And that is of course the only difference as well between the Sinful Spoil engine being like £150 and an engine like Dogmatika and Tri-Brigade being like £50. Okay, cool, so we've sent the Garura Rings of Resonant Life. We're going to use Garura's effect to draw 1 card. Kirin, that's pretty nice. On that one, we're then going to use our Maximus. So we're going to summon down our Maximus by banishing the Garura. We're then going to use Maximus' effect. We're going to send 2 from our extra deck. So I'm going to send the Tri-Brigade Arms. You don't need to. You can send Shurag directly if you want to. Personally, I'm just going to go with this one just to kind of set up another one. I do need to send a Shaddoll monster to the graveyard just so I've got it in there for Schism. So we are going to go with App Clone. You just get the benefit of not being able to draw. Yes, if your opponent knows how this works, this might telegraph that you've opened up the Schism, but it just is what it is. You're then going to activate the Tri-Brigade Arms effect, and this is going to allow you to send the Shurag. Shurag's effect is now going to trigger because you've got 1 Winged Beast monster banished. You can now add the Ponix from the deck to the hand. So now you've unlocked your complete combo, and you can see you've got a hand of 6, which is absolutely insane. So shuffling this up, of course, we're going to normal summon down the Ponix. We're going to use Ponix's effect. This is then going to search out your Sanctuary. We're then going to activate the Sanctuary. We're going to activate Fire King Island directly from the deck. I'm just going to move the Garura over here, and then put the field spell up there just so you can see it clearly. And then what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to use the Fire King Island's effect. Now, I'm personally just going to pop the Ponix because I don't want it stuck on the board, and it's going to come back to my hand the next turn anyway. So we'll destroy that. This is then going to allow us to add from the deck to the hand. Now, honestly, I don't see the need of adding a Kirin. I don't see the need of adding the Garuric, so I've got everything I need to. So I'm probably going to search out a card that can give me follow-up for the next turn alongside my Ponix. So I'm going to go for the Avatar. Just because it gives me that monster negate should I need to, so I can normal summon it. And I've got ways of getting Kirin, and I've got ways of getting Garunix to the board. It also gives me that ability that should I decide not to pop the Ponix with the Kirin during my opponent's turn, I could pop the Avatar, and then Avatar would give me another monster back from the graveyard. And of course, the other reason we're going to be doing that is because we are going to resolve the Garunix to summon itself down and then destroy a card in the deck. So the best one to go for, again, in my opinion on this one, will be the Barong, because then you're going to get a search during the next standby phase, which is really, really important. So we've shuffled up. We're now going to set the Schism, and we are going to pass to our opponent. During our opponent's standby phase, of course, we will be resolving Barong. So, news to me, this was new information before I did a previous video on this one. Each of these have to resolve separately. I thought they resolved at the same time, but they resolve separately, so that is a correction on my behalf. So you resolve the Barong. Now, with the Barong, I'm actually going to choose to search a Kirin for a follow-up of the next turn, should I want it. And then, of course, the Ponix will then come back to the hand. So now I've got the option of both. I've got the ability of Sanctuary to summon down, the ability of Sanctuary to XYZ summon to board wipe my opponent. I've also got the ability of the Kirin to summon down, pop in the Ponix so that it can float back around. If I wanted to, I could also activate the Kirin to pop the Avatar. Avatar can bring back the Barong. Barong would then get destroyed during the end phase, and then of course I would loop that back around. So the best thing about this is, like someone said to me, a Fenrir does break this board, which is really, really annoying, because you would special summon down a Fenrir. Fenrir could then, they could either continue to play, or you'd activate the Schism to summon out your window. Fenrir will then need to go into battle phase, declare an attack to banish the window, or destroy the window, banish the Garunix, and then they play in the main phase too. But keeping in mind, even if they do all of that and they get rid of Sanctuary, they get rid of Viking Island and then destroy everything, you name it, you're still going to have this entire hand to come back with. So you're not in that bad a position. This has only taken one card to set up. So very, very good positioning to be in. So we'll play through the example here. Of course, you can very easily go, okay, cool, we'll board wipe and then we'll lock. So we will use Kirin's effect. We will decide to destroy the Ponix. Destroying the Ponix, of course, it will come back during the next standby phase. Your opponent special summons a monster. You activate Sanctuary. You overlay, and you go into the Garunix High Entity. This would then, of course, destroy your Dogmatika Maximus. This would then destroy all of your opponent's monsters. And then if you feel threatened again, you can activate Schism. Schism can very easily just banish the App Clone and the Shurag. And that will then allow you to get a Winder on the board. So you've kind of protected there. There's more times than not you probably would have dropped an Ash on your opponent as well. And you're still in a very good position. Now, if we were to rewind this a little bit, again, I'm just going to go into all these test hands with as much detail as possible, so you can kind of see the different outcomes that you could possibly have. Not to mention that as we finish this turn, of course, we would get Ponix back to the hand and everything else. So if we reset it so it's like this, one good thing you could keep in mind of is if your opponent is going to attempt to break your board, you've got a full ability of Kirin to just go absolutely ham here. So let's say they go to battle phase, let's say they do anything they need to, they clear your board off, they get rid of this, they get rid of this. Let's say they get rid of Schism as well, right? Heck, they could even get rid of Sanctuary and Viking Island. So they've cleared your entire board off, right? So you still have this entire hand to come back on. So even during your opponent's main phase, you can still very easily go Kirin. And then I believe, I'm just going to double check this, you can destroy another fire monster that doesn't have to be itself. And then you can special summon a Fire King monster. So you can go, okay, cool, Kirin could destroy its own Kirin. Kirin could then pop a card on the field, as well as you could bring back your Garunix off of its own effect, and then you can bring back the Barong. So that's option number one, and you've pretty much rebuilt your board. You've dropped your Ash and your opponent and everything else you need to anyway. Option number two is, if we bring back the two Kirins, put the Garunix in the grave and the Barong in the grave, you use your Kirin's effect to destroy the Advata. Advata would bring back the Barong. And then in the end phase, Barong would get destroyed because of Advata. You could then trigger the Garunix to come back at this point. You could do it at the previous point as well if you wanted to. And then you would pass. So it would come back to you during your standby phase, Barong's effect, so you would draw for turn, and then Barong's effect would let you search. And honestly, I'm probably going to search for a Garunix because my board is pretty full as it is. So I've got that ability to make a rank 8, so I could go, okay, cool, Garunix Eternity, nuke the board, great. And then, of course, you've got your Ponix to start you everything back off again. You've got Kirin that can pop the Garunix Eternity, or, of course, the Ponix, which will summon down the Garunix, summon back more monsters from the graveyard. You just keep going and going and going. And that's what I really wanted to kind of show you in this test hand is Nadir Servant. This is the massive difference. Nadir Servant is incredibly important. It's one card that is so pivotal to this version of the deck. Whereas in the Tri-Brigade version, it's not that direct. Like, yes, okay, Kit is amazing, Fractal's amazing, but you've got Kit, Nerval, Fractal, Kuraz, Tenki that can get you to them as well. You just wouldn't have as many hand traps to fall back on. Okay, so now that I went into that one as much detail, hopefully, as we continue to do these test stands, I'll be able to show you what happens when you don't open up the Deer Servant as well. Hopefully, when you open up the Deer Servant, you're basically either going to be falling back on loads of hand traps, or you're going to be going through the Ponix one-card combo anyway, which is really nice. So after another decent shuffle and a good old cut, we'll do a second test stand going first, starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My God! That's a very interesting hand. I mean, I'll play this hand out, but then the chances are we'll redo this hand anyway. Just so you can kind of see, you know, you will get hands like this. It happens. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! But even with this, you're still in a very good position, because what you can do here is you could, it'd be a little bit of a waste of 2 Kirins, but you could use a Kirin to destroy an Ash Blossom, and because it was originally fire, you can then summon down the Garunix. You could, if you wanted to, overlay these into Garunix Eternity. You could make a Link 2 if you wanted to. The reason you could go into the Eternity is that during your opponent's turn, you can go, okay, cool, activate Kirin in hand, destroy the Eternity. Destroying the Eternity would summon down the Kirin. Eternity would trigger, and it will bring back 2 because it had 2 materials. And then you activate Skyburn, and you can pop up to 3. So it would destroy all of these, but then in doing so, you would have the destruction effect of the Kirin to bring back the Garunix as well. So you wouldn't lose everything, you'd do a 3-for-1 kind of trade-off. Not great, not ideal, but again, like I said, that is just the way it works. You could normal summon your Ash Blossom, you could turn Ash Blossom into Almirage, you could then use Kirin to destroy the Almirage. You'd still end up in this exact same kind of end scenario. But yeah, like I said, this deck is not perfect. If this deck was perfect, it would be tier 0, it would be battling for first places at YCSs and everything else. It can battle to be in the top tables, and it probably, with the right pilot, could even battle to be top table. But if you're trying to battle that way, you are going to want to invest as much as possible. So this is definitely a deck that you're going to take to locals, and heck, could probably get a couple of wins at regionals, but do not expect to be going on and winning worlds unless you get a decent amount of luck and also learn this deck inside and out. So after another decent shuffle, we'll redo test stand number 1. Well, test stand number 2 going first, being 1. Oh my God, Kieran loves this hand. 2. So does Ash. 3, 4, 5. What is going on? Like, you're watching me shuffle and I'm still opening up 2 Kieran. Anyway, like I said, the combos are very, very linear. So when you look at this kind of lineup right here, again, 4 cards, doesn't matter. They can be board breakers, they can be hand traps. And the Deer Servant is all that really matters. So activating the Deer Servant, again, send Garura, search out Maximus. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll show you the Fleur-Delis line rather than the Winder line in this one, which will probably be pretty good. So we'll shuffle up again. I swear to God, if I get a third Kirin. Also, a very interesting one is what happens when you draw Ponix, because then you're not going to get the benefit of Shurag. But then in that scenario, then you'd probably send Apclone and Titaniclad. So you draw 1 off of the Garunix. Sanctuary. Hey, that's pretty good. Summon down the Maximus. Just going to lay out the 5-card hand there. Banish the Garunix. Activate Maximus's effect. Send, in this scenario, we're going to send your Tri-Brigade Arms, and we're going to send Titaniclad. Tri-Brigade Arms effect, of course, will then discard the Shurag, or send the Shurag from the extra deck. Shurag's effect will go off. This will then allow you to add your Ponix. And then what's going to happen here is pretty much normal summon wombo combo. Let's go! So put those 3 back. Normal summon Ponix. Ponix effect, we don't need to search out Sanctuary. We're going to be searching out the... You can either search out Circle of the Fire Kings, which is pretty decent, or, of course, you can search out a more destructive route, and that's, of course, going to be your Skyburn. You'd activate Sanctuary. Sanctuary would do its thing, and that would activate the Fire King Island directly from the deck. You would then use Fire King Island to destroy the Ponix. This will then allow you to add the Garunix. Garunix would then summon itself down. You then activate Garunix's effect in the, destroying in the deck, and we're going to destroy the Barong. Of course, I don't need to search a Kirin, so I can pretty much search it out exactly the same as I did last time as a bit of a follow-up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to activate the Book of, well not activate, sorry, set the Book of Eclipse, set the Fire King Skyburn. I've still got 3 cards in my hand. We're going to move to the end phase. In the end phase, we are going to resolve Titaniclad, and that is going to allow me to add the Fleur-de-Lis. Then during our opponent's standby phase, we're going to resolve Barong, we're going to add the Avatar, and then we'll also resolve the Ponix, adding Ponix back to the hand. So you can just see how we've regained so much resource. It's scary good. Let's just turn the light up a little bit. There you go. Cool. So now we're during our opponent's turn. Obviously, you're not going to go as Wombo Window Lock as we did last time, but what you do have is, should your opponent, this is the difference actually, this is what's kind of good against a Fenrir. So special them down the Fenrir, use Fenrir's effect to search. Now they know you've got the Fleur-de-Lis, so this could be a little bit, like they might not do that, they might just attempt to go to the battle phase and then you go, right, okay, well, we'll go Book of Eclipse instead, or we'll go Skyburn. So either way, you've got a Fleur-de-Lis that can summon down, negate. You've also got the ability of using the Avatar, the Kirin in the hand. So again, the Kirin, because we opened up 2, has the ability to pop and revive, or you've got the ability to revive and then pop the Barong to circle around, or of course you've got the ability to just loop the Ponix. So you've got the best of everything there. Now, worst case scenario, like what you'd be looking at doing is you'd be looking at, so worst case scenario, your opponent activates something like, let's say Lightning Storm, okay? So Lightning Storm is going to suck. Lightning Storm would take out Sanctuary, Eclipse, Skyburn, and Fire King Island. So that would suck, and then when Fire King Island gets destroyed, it would also take out the Grunix. Now, I'll just go check with Sanctuary. I'm not sure if Sanctuary is an instead. If a card in your field summon would be destroyed by card effect, you can destroy 1 fire monster in hand. I mean, Sanctuary might be able to protect the Fire King Island. I'm not 100% sure, because I know there was a rule that it's replacements that insteads can't work. If they're going to get destroyed simultaneously, it wouldn't work. But either way, even if they went to like evenly matched, for example, evenly matched is not that bad because okay, I would get rid of Fire King Island. You'd get rid of, unfortunately, you'd have to get rid of the Grunix because I'm pretty sure the Fire King Island would destroy the Grunix. You'd get rid of Sanctuary. I'd probably get rid of the Skyburn. So you'd get rid of all 5 of those. I'd still sit on the Book of Eclipse. Your opponent does something, you Book of Eclipse them. And then you still got the ability, like if they put a monster from the edge of deck, you can still summon down Fleur-de-Lis. It's just like a boss monster, you just wouldn't get the negate. You'd still have the ability of going Kirin. Kirin would then be able to destroy itself and then destroy one of your opponent's monsters, and then Kirin's effect, or cards technically, would bring back the Barong. So you do all of this, you've played for an evenly matched, you've popped a card, you've ashed a card as well, and then it'll come back to your turn. So then you would draw for turn, random card, and then Ponix just starts the entire combo all over again. And this is all just examples that they got the evenly matched, or they main deck evenly matched, you name it, you've got those options. Now obviously if they don't have evenly matched, if they don't have anything like that, you can activate the Book of Eclipse, you could lose your Maximus, but you'd probably want to work it so that you'd go Fleur-de-Lis first, you would then go into, you'd go Fleur-de-Lis first to negate, you'd then go Kirin to summon, then you'd overlay Kirin with the Grunix to make Grunix Eternity to blow up the board, and then you would activate Book of Eclipse. So like you've got 3 stages that I need to deal with, and that's before you then consider the 4th of Ash Blossom, a 5th if Kirin decides to destroy the other copy of itself to pop a card on the board. So you just have so much more that you could really play through. But again, it all revolved around Nadir Servant resolving. If Nadir Servant doesn't resolve, you don't get the Maximus, you don't get the Fleur-de-Lis, you don't get access to Ponix either. So very, very give and take deck. I like it. I like the Fire Kings in general. I think their versatility is absolutely amazing. To be able to play on a budget and still compete with Tri-Brigades and this is great. If you are at a local environment where playing multiple hand traps is the better way to go, then great. If you are in a local environment where loads of people are playing multiple hand traps, then maybe it's not the greatest idea for Tri-Brigade because they just get hit by loads of multiple hand traps. But you never know. Bit of everything. So we'll shuffle this up. We'll now go second. I'll show you what that 6th card can do. This is where you're like hoping that your hand is basically a hand of hand traps. and then you're pretty much just, they're not playing through those amount of hand traps and you're going from there. Right, let's see if this will work. I doubt it will. Nope, failed. Anyway, so first two was Nibiru, Ponix, Ragbali, Nadir, Ash, and then Book of Eclipse, which this hand's broken. Because, okay, they would have to play for an Ash, they'll have to play for a Nib, and then if they've managed to do all of that, we're drawing Book of Eclipse for turn, we go Book of Eclipse, and then you're baiting something out in the draw phase. And it's like, okay, cool, flip everything face down, get rid of that, flip this face up, very, very good. And then you've got the ability to activate Nadir Servant, but you can now attempt to try and bait stuff out if you want to. You could use like your normal summon, it really is up to you. So, going second with Nadir Servant, I would still possibly look at Titaniclad, but you're definitely going to be going for the Garunix. You're going to draw a card. I could very easily normal summon the Ponix and link it off if I want to, but I don't think I need to right now. So we'll draw a random card, which will be Kieran. Nice. Wait, sorry. Apologies. Search out Maximus first. Shuffle up to be correct. Draw a random card for if it's a Kieran as well, still off. It's not a Kieran, it's an Ash. Good because we used Ash during their turn, so this Ash is still live. Summon down Maximus, probably put it in attack this time. Banish the Garunix. Maximus's effect this time, because we're going second, you're probably going to send an Elder Entity inst to pop a card, and then you would probably send. I mean, I don't need to send Shurag because I've already got the Ponix. So if I wanted to be a little bit more thinking in 4D chess, you could send the App Clone to get the Schism, or of course you could just send the Titaniclad to get you a Fleur-Delis for the follow-up. So, entirely up to you. Normal summon the Ponix. I suppose the one benefit of sending the Shurag is that you would get the benefit of adding that card to your hand right away. But either or. Ponix gets you Sanctuary. Sanctuary gets you Viking Island. Viking Island destroys. I'm not the biggest fan of the Ragbali in the hand. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's great to kind of deal with spells and traps. And yes, it would technically summon itself down. But I kind of wish it had an effect like Barong or Avatar where it gives you something when it is destroyed itself. But, you know. So we'll add the Garunix. Destroying the Ponix on the board. On the new chain, Garunix. Now, I've always been told that you cannot activate two monster effects in the hand at the same time. So apparently these two both can't summon at the same time. Which is weird. But I could be wrong. I could be right. I don't know. I'm only going off of what I've been previously exampled. If it does work, great, you get both of them. If it doesn't work, you still just hold on to the Ragbali. Garunix would then use this effect. I would still, the difference with this one is if I was pushing for game because I've Book of Eclipse the board or I've cleared everything out that I need to, I would actually probably destroy the Kieran because then the Kieran's effect would trigger and that would guarantee the Ragbali coming to the board and it will let me pop another card on the board. So I've managed to clear off two boards. The only difference is I've not got that fallback play should this go wrong. Like I would be getting into a Fleur-Delis and I'd also get the Ponix back, but I wouldn't have a Kieran to summon during my opponent's turn. So I would have a spell and trap negate, which isn't so bad. So if I haven't cleared off my opponent's board, obviously Nibiru for 3k, 27 of Garunix, 16 off of the Ragbali, and then of course the 15 off of Maximus. So if my maths is correct, that's nearly 6,000 there, 7,000, 8,000. So that's game there, after you've popped off two cards as well. Now, if it's not game, again, just giving you the hypotheticals in all these scenarios, we'd move to the end phase, we'd resolve Titaniclad. This would then give us a Fleur-Delis. There we go. And then we'd move to the standby phase. Ponix would come back to the hand. So then our opponent would still need to try and break this board. So we'd still follow up with an Ash Blossom. We would still have the ability of summoning down Fleur-Delis to negate a card. And then again, if it swings back to us, we draw a card. I mean, worst case scenario, let's say that they activate a spell and trap, we can activate Ragbali. Ragbali could destroy the Ponix if we wanted to, and it's just going to loop back to our hand during the next standby phase. We draw a card for turn. Nibiru, doesn't matter. We've now got multiple 8s on the board, so we can just hard XYZ. Probably be better off hard XYZ and using Fleur-Delis and Garunix, because then you could use Maximus's effect again. But really depends on if you're trying to upgrade or what you're trying to do from that point on. But again, that's the difference with the Dogmatikas is you're relying on the Dear Servant, but you also saw that we had the hand traps to combat going first and second. Whereas I feel with Tri-Brigades, yes, they can play through more interruptions, but with the right end board, if you're going second with the Tri-Brigade, it can be a little bit tricky. Okay, we'll do one more test and go in second just to kind of wrap this all up. If I seen a DS7, I'll probably put it back because just to kind of show you, like, you should never be seeing the free of like as consistent as you do. There will be times when you won't see it, and you just need to be able to know what the deck can do if you don't get access to your Dogmatikas. So, I mean, actually, we did see a test stand going first that didn't have it, which was like, eh. And that's where you kind of want to probably a little bit more draw power, but anyway. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not bad. And 6. Really? 6 card again. So, okay, our opponent would have had to play through a Veiler, would have had to play through an Imperm. If you're worried about Trill Tactic Talents, and obviously you'd only use the Imperm, but you would have adapted your deck to reflect that. Now, unfortunately, the rest of this hand isn't that great. Because we've got no way of destroying the Avatar, we've got no way of destroying the Garunix, and Fleur-de-Lis could technically be a free summon, but that's about it. So what you'd probably end up looking for on this particular build is you'd probably special summon down the Fleur-de-Lis, normal summon down the Avatar, attack go up to 3k, attack go up to 18. If your opponent has summoned 2 times from the extra deck from the previous turn, you're then going to resort to a Sky Crisis Typhoon. If they haven't, then you're a little bit stuck. You could go into a Heater if it's in the mirror match, and the Heater can start to link climb up. Other than that, not the greatest of hands. But they still would have needed to play through 2 hand traps, plus you've got the Book of Eclipse set, so you can either break their board or like flip their board face down and then attempt to break it, or you can hold most of this back and be like, okay, cool, set the Book of Eclipse, pass, and then you can hold on to the Imperms, the Veilers, and the Grunix and everything else. We'll redo that hand, we'll do that hand again just to kind of show you this. I think this is quite nice though, because we've done, technically after this, I think we've done, if my maths is correct, 6 test hands. Out of those 6 test hands, 2 have not been that great. The remainders have kind of shown you what the deck can do, which is quite nice. So after another decent shuffle and a good old cut, our final test hand will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my days! Hand trap central. We're just gonna leave it there, I think. Yeah. I mean, our opponent would have had to have played through 3 hand traps. It then comes to our turn, we draw another hand trap, and we're like, pass. But that is the dangers of playing something like Schism. It is a one-off brick. Even if our next one would then be a hand trap. Oh my god, another hand trap. I mean, that doesn't really do a lot unless you hold onto an Ash Blossom. Still pretty funny though. Oh, there we go. Yeah, alright, fine. We're going to leave it there. Evidently the deck's like, yeah, no, you've had your fun. Those are the risks. Those are the risks and rewards when you're playing so many hand traps. Like, I feel that showing you a video like this is probably more beneficial for you, if you are trying to learn this deck, so you know what could happen to you, rather than going, oh look, I opened up Nadir every single test hand. Clearly didn't. But, yeah, I thought it was kind of good. If you do like this type of content, if you're finding this informative, then please make sure you smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and most importantly, subscribe. Because without your subscriptions, we will not be able to continue to be doing stuff like this. It does support the channel, and it allows us to keep bringing you content like this. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.